Democrats came away from a meeting in Baltimore still confused over the fact that they have a problem with not what they say, but how they say it. If they could just more effectively communicate their message, then they would win elections. Well, here's the problem. They're adequately communicating their message. Everybody knows who the Democrats are and what they stand for. They just don't like it. They can't stand for them. They can't stand for what they stand for. Does that make sense? Yes, of course it does. In fact, I think I'm going to put that in my list of Ken's laws. We can't stand for what they stand for. Sounds good to me. This is an article by Lysandra Villa. She published this in BuzzFeed.com, BuzzFeed News. The headline is typical, summarizes everything, just says House Democrats want to change the way they talk to voters, but they're not sure how. Here's the problem, Democrats. Let me explain this to you. Now, let me hold that for a second. Let's take a look at some of the comments they made in the body of this article. We lost. So either, I'm reading that here. We lost, so either our programs need to be retooled or our communication needs to be retooled. Now, which do you think is easier to focus on? I'm just trying to think. Sometimes you're just at a loss. What are these people even saying? Okay, the problem isn't that, first of all, your programs stink. You don't need to retool them. You need to eliminate them. And number two, you don't need to retool your communication because you're communicating fine, loud and clear. And when you lie to us, it really doesn't matter because that's why God made the internet. So people like me can explain what you're really saying when you lie. So it's not that you're not effectively communicating. The problem is you are too effective in your communicating. Or I shouldn't say you, but overall, people are getting the message. The communication lines are wide open. We see what you're doing. We see what you think. We know what your ideologies are. We know what your programs are. We know what you're all about. You're about taxing, spending, wasting people's money, screwing people over, being demagogues. You're a bunch of authoritarian goofballs. And we know it. We're on to you. So you can try to communicate that more effectively if you want to, but it's not going to solve anything. And if you keep trying to pretend that you're not what you are, well, there's people like me out there that are going to expose you. And there's a lot of us. I mean, there's like millions. Okay, let's take a look at one or two more sentences here. It says, Democrats have historically said their economic platform should be able to bridge rural and progressive voters, but, you see, there you go. They use words like progressive, like we're so dumb we can't figure out that you're not progressive, you're going backwards. You treat people like idiots. You Democrats treat Americans like idiots. We are so dumb that we actually think you're progressive when you're leading the country in the opposite direction that it should be going in. And you just keep on saying that. It's like you just insult. Oh, geez, I wonder why they're not voting for us. Insult. We lost another election. Insult. We're progressives. Insult. The party hasn't held control of the House in 6 years, and since Nancy Pelosi gave up her gavel, they've lost the Senate and the White House as well. Once again, members are thinking about how they can communicate more effectively, but they're coming up with few answers. That's because they didn't ask me. Here's how you can win. Okay, I'm not coming up with anything either, because I don't think you can win. You're going to have to change your ideology, which you're not going to do that. I mean, some of you will. Some of you are going to come to your senses and say, wait a minute, this socialist crap doesn't work. But the vast majority of left-wing, lunatic, cultural Marxist Democrats are not going to change. And resonating your message isn't going to help you win elections. The only way you're going to effectively communicate to get votes is you're going to have to lie. And to do that, you're going to have to destroy the internet. The question was on top of many members' minds as the more than 130 House Democrats, you can follow along what I'm reading here, Roughly two-thirds of their membership came to Baltimore for a 3-day issues conference this week. The theme was fighting for all Americans. There you go again. We know you're not fighting for us. You're fighting for Islam. You're fighting for Black Lives Matter, but you're not fighting for all lives matter. You're killing babies in abortion clinics. And you say, we're fighting for all Americans. You're lying to us. What, you think we don't know it? You ever heard Robert Reich talk? He talks to you like you're a 3-year-old. That's the way the Democrats, I think, approach everybody. You're a bunch of idiots. We're going to talk down to you like you're a bunch of 3-year-olds. We're going to tell you we're progressives. And we think you're dumb enough to believe it. And then we're going to wonder why you don't vote for us. All right, let's take a look at a couple more paragraphs and we will be done with this. But some Democrats say that while the party wants to fight for every American, no, they don't. They're still not reaching a lot of them, rural voters in particular, who don't like you taking away their guns, criticizing their religion and trying to close down their coal mines, taking away their jobs. Rural voters in particular are fleeing the party, and tough losses in 2016 of some members urging the party to rethink its strategy. Just go out of business. That would be a good strategy. This is exactly why we lost. We're reading here if you are following along. This is exactly why we lost, one frustrated Democratic member told BuzzFeed News in a text message during a presentation at the retreat in which the member said, people were clearly bored. Trump thinks in visuals and what sells. We're listening to MIT professor give a dissertation with graphs on rumors that has no bearing in reality. Yeah, well, I think they touched on something there. They're just totally out of touch with reality. Donald Trump is very much in touch with reality. First thing he did when he started campaigning is he started talking about illegal immigration, illegal immigrants, building a wall, kicking out the Muslims, keeping them out, extreme vetting. He's in touch with reality. You know, we just did a story a few minutes ago in which a college professor said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, that we have to throw out the numbers because they're mythical. We have to throw out the data because the data is, it's not real. You know, they take what is real and say it's not real, and they take what's not real and say that it is real. In other words, they live in a fantasy world. So, Democrats, you can have all the meetings you want. You can do this forever and ever, but as long as we have a free flow of information. And this is not only in the United States, it's also in Europe. You know, in the European Union countries, you say something out of line. If you tell the truth about Islam, for example, you can be prosecuted. Ask Geert Wilders. However, they still have access to the internet. So even though they can't say it out loud, or they have to say it using fake names, there's still people like me who are communicating to people in Europe. They're getting the truth. And as long as there is an internet, as long as we have this burgeoning method of communication, Democrats, globalists, liberals, socialists across the board going to lose. Okay, you got control of the schools. We know that. But you can't brainwash kids 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're going to wake up and they're going to say, wait a minute, I was lied to. Okay, you're telling little children that white America is a colonialist country, and we went to Africa and we stole the land from the Africans and we exploited it, and then in the United States we slaughtered millions and millions of Indians. Okay, when I was a kid, you could actually get away with lying like that. But now, the evidence, the documentation is coming out through the internet. And the problem is with the Democrats is they just don't get the reality that your ideology is stupid. It's just stupid. And people don't want to be governed by idiots. It's just that simple. So have all the meetings you want, but what I think is going to happen is this. I think as long as we have a free flow of information. And hopefully I'm correct on this. As long as there is a free flow of information, you are not going to be able to successfully continue to brainwash people to engage in this practice of thought reform. You have measured success in colleges and universities and government schools, but now even, DeVos is the head of the Department of Education. You're going to struggle there. So here's what I think is going to happen, and I hope I'm correct. You're just going to keep losing, and there is no solution. The only thing you can do, again, repeating myself, the only thing you Democrats can do is you're going to have to be able to lie and get away with it. But for time being, that's not going to happen. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this on social media. There's a button underneath the video. You can just click on that. Makes it real easy. Lower right-hand corner, there's another little button that says subscribe. If you click on that, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, we want you to know that at 6 p.m. every evening, when I don't forget, and so far I've not yet forgotten once, but if I don't forget, we have a live stream. We open the chat room. People of like mind come together and we talk about stuff. I don't participate in the chat much. I'll say one or two things, but I kind of let the people in the chat room talk amongst themselves. But if I see a bad guy, we'll zap them, or I might say howdy or something. But this is your forum for you to discuss issues. You disagree. A lot of people disagree in the chat room. It's okay. If people start getting obnoxious and start cussing at each other, okay, then we might zap that. But otherwise, it's by and large people who are like-minded and just like to talk about the issues. And it's so refreshing. Well, it's a safe space. It's a real safe space where we can get away from the lunacy of the left and refresh ourselves, bathe ourselves in the sunlight of reality. So we invite you 6 o'clock Eastern USA time to join us in our chat room. Okay, so once again, don't forget to subscribe, be a part of what we're doing, is defending Western culture.
How to subscribe? Click subscribe. Click the bell. Check the box. Save.